Alright, what is going on, guys? Hope you are well, wherever you are, whatever the time, and welcome back to another video in the Wine on Me series. So, we're back in the gym after 4 days off of the gym. I had my birthday last week, and literally a couple of days after that I got ill. The last session I'd done was actually on the Friday, which was a push day, which, if you recall from the previous video, was a session that I was actually supposed to film. Ended up obviously forgetting my memory card, so couldn't film. But that was the last session that I'd done across the week. Got ill, so when I'm ill, I'll typically just take days away from the gym. I don't really see the point in forcing the issue and going to the gym and essentially just making yourself feel worse. You're not going to lose muscle over the course of 4 days. You might feel a little bit flatter, but that's literally it. Nothing else really is going to change. Just the priority when you do get unwell has to be get better, recover, rather than just trying to hold on to all of your muscle possible. Like you're not going to lose muscle, as I said. So yeah, took that time off. During that time, I went down to basically my rest day food, which is just shy of 200 grams of carbs. Again, you would have seen that in the video that I last put out, because that was basically a full day of eating. And then this morning saw a new low of 207.6 pounds, which honestly was really good. Silver lining to being unwell was my appetite was still very high, but slightly reduced. And I was also on lower food, so I kind of pushed myself a bit more and take off a bit more body fat, which I have done. So yeah, new low this morning. And with it being quite a big drop from yesterday, I think it's about 0.9 kilos, I'm gonna say, or about a kilo down from yesterday. Today I've put in an extra 200 grams of carbs just to slow down the rate of loss a little bit and hold me in the 94s across the next week. And two, because this is my first session back since being unwell, I kind of feel like I need it a little bit. So yeah, with it being legs and all. Plan of action with legs today, this is the session that you haven't actually seen yet, which is the pendulum squat. The session that you've seen that was a couple of videos ago was actually the RDL video. The objective honestly today is just to be able to apply effort. I'm not really trying to hit any PRs today or anything like that. It's just a case of getting in a good quality leg session and seeing how I feel afterwards. The last thing I want to do is put myself back in a hole. So as always with legs, warm up on the treadmill, and then we're going to get into our prehab work before going into our first movement of the day, which is actually going to be calf raises. So kicking the session off with my calf raises, so seated calf raises, and then I went into the adductor machine. On this leg session, I do seated calf work, and then on the other leg session, I do standing calf work. Pretty simple, just so that there's some variety in that. I know that there's a little bit more bias towards the inner calf when you're seated, when there's that knee flexion. So that's why that's there. I think if you're somebody who wants to improve their calf work, don't be afraid to tack it on to other days, including your upper body. If you are only doing one leg session every 5 or 7 days, and you're only hitting calves on that leg day, think about it. Your frequency for calf work is just so small. So if you want to make improvements, definitely look at the frequency of your calf work, and if it's not impacting your performance, which it probably won't because it's calf work, it's not like you're doing a bench press, then throw it in to your other days. I think if it's weak, don't just complain and only do it on your leg days. But I start off with my calf work to help with a bit of ankle mobility as well on my squat patterns and my leg press. The adductors today went well as well, really, really good. I actually tweaked my back on the abductor last week, so before I took a break, on the Thursday, I believe. But no signs of any back pain today. Felt really good, felt strong. 2 sets on there, loading just on the 1 cam setting and then on the 3 cam setting on the second set, just to get a little bit more tension in the stretch. But all in all, a good start to the session, to be honest with you. I definitely still don't feel 100%, but it's not really impacting strength that much. We're now going to move on to the seated hamstring curl. And after that, we've got our leg extension, and then we go into our squat pound. 2 sets done on the seated hamstring curl. And as you can see, I was also using a seat belt on that as well. A couple of things when it comes to using seat belts. One, if you want to use one, because, well, not even a case of if you want to, I think you should be using one. And a lot of people complain because they feel like it's far too complex and you should just get in the machine and lift. But it makes a significant difference to the internal feel, and also how much load you can move. A lot of these old school guys talk about just get strong, lift a lot of heavy weight. If you use a seatbelt, it allows you to use more load. So definitely use one if you can. And secondly, you want to make sure you're using it correctly, especially on a seated hamstring curl. You'll see a lot of people set it up to where the seatbelt is basically just pushing their legs down, their quads, but you've already got a pad in place to do that. You want to actually use the seatbelt to pull your hips back, because what typically happens in a seated hamstring curl is as you go through the set, your hips start to slide forward. So you basically want that seatbelt to pull you back rather than pull you down, if that makes sense. So you'll see, I'll put up a little video here to show my setup, and obviously you'll see it in the videos too, but that makes also a significant difference. So the pad is there obviously to push you down hard. That should be squeezing your quads, and then the seatbelt is basically just pulling your hips back. So 2 sets from there, again loaded on the 1 cam setting on the first set, and then on the 3 cam setting on the second set. Moving on to the leg extension, I typically do plate loaded, but today I'm doing pin loaded just because of time constraints. I have a sports massage appointment at 12 o'clock today, so I got to be in and out of the session today, and plate load is just going to take a little bit too much time. Luckily, I've got data and numbers for this machine specifically, so we'll just go by that and obviously look to match those reps and weight there. Speaking of sports massage and recovery and whatnot, a couple of things that have really been helping me in terms of just posing and pain management in this contest prep so far has been, 1, getting regular massage work, and 2, I bang on about this all the time, but using an app called GoWOD. This is an app that I've advocated to my clients, all of them basically, all of them that are into bodybuilding, competitive bodybuilding, training at a high level. I think this app is incredible. It basically provides you with like daily mobility exercises that are specific to your ailments. So for me, it's typically like my hips, hamstrings, lower back, glutes, all that sort of stuff. And it's like you can either choose between 8, 15 or 30-minute mobility routines. And I basically do that each day, or at least 5 days a week. And I found it's worked really well with myself and also clients, and it's also helped with my posing, because a big issue for a lot of bodybuilders is poor rotation of their ribcage and torso, and also poor external rotation at the shoulder. So getting into like a back double bicep and really externally rotating that shoulder is hard for a lot of bodybuilders. This app for sure has helped with that. Rotation in those quarter turns as well, again, very, very helpful. So if there was one thing that I'd honestly advocate for a lot of bodybuilders, and something that's really slept on, it's your mobility work, and GoWOD is definitely a really good place to start. So anyway, 2 sets on the pin loaded leg extension, prime of course, both sets loaded at the 3 cam setting. And I'll do this before I go into my pendulum squat. As I said in my last leg video, I think doing these isolation exercises before my compound lifts just gets the joints warm. Also, again, just get a bit of a better feel when I go into my compound lifts after an isolation movement. So from a safety perspective and also an internal feel perspective, it just makes sense to do it this way. And obviously, the longer I leave it to doing leg extensions, the harder it is for me to get my quads short. So yeah, 2 sets here and then just 1 set on the pendulum. So that's my 1 set on the pendulum done. And honestly speaking, just not really good enough. Not really happy with it. I think it was 1 rep down from the previous week, and I understand that I'm coming back from being unwell, but I think the remedy really is to have somebody standing there with me, even if they don't spot me. I think that just helps a little bit. I think I just didn't trust that I would get up for that last rep. But looking back at the footage, I feel like I could have. So that's annoyed me. But it is just 1 set on there. And then I moved on to my hip thrust. So using this booty builder, and just 1 set on here as well. I've got RDLs on Saturday, so 3 days from now, where I'll do hip thrusts again and also RDLs. So more so biasing the quads in this session. But yeah, not too pleased honestly with that pendulum set. Leg press is going to be the final exercise before we get out of here. I'll give you a bit of a roundup once I've got back, had my post-workout meal and had my massage work. I'll give you a bit of a breakdown and an update on prep in a bit more depth. But yeah. All right, we're back. We're back from the physio appointment and training session. So legs, you would have seen that I'd also done leg press to finish the session, which was pretty good. Just making, that's not gonna work. Let's have a look here. There we go. So we're just making the post-workout meal just now. Overall, pretty good session considering I'm coming off of the back of being ill. The only annoyance, as I said to you, was my my pendulum squat set. I just feel like that could have been better, especially if I had somebody spotting me. But it is what it is. These things happen. So as I mentioned as well in the intro to the session, today's also a little bit of a high day. Just an extra 200 grams of carbs on top of what my normal food is. So we got here, we got 30 grams of whey here. So yeah, but overall the session was pretty decent. And after we went to go get some massage work done by Christian again, who's been doing me a solid over the past few months, just with helping me with my mobility and my hip really specifically. But the body feels really good. As I said, I think doing GoWOD most days of the week and doing my rehab work for the hip has really helped. My knees feel great, shoulders, elbows, all that sort of stuff. It is just the hip. I think the hip just needs a bit more work, to be honest. So yeah, I honestly can't believe how light I am. I got back from the physio and just stepped on the scale. I'm still in the 94s. Obviously I haven't eaten yet, but what I'm going to do is have a look at my physique once I've had this meal. So I'm going to give this meal about 30 to 40 minutes and then have a look at the rig and see how I look with some more water and some more food in me. And then we got a few things to cover for the rest of the day. So I've got to get a post out on social media, which is going to be a reel, check in with some clients. I basically do this process where midweek I'll check in with them, see how things are going, look over their programming, look over their food, look over their sheet, make sure things are moving in the right direction. So I'm just going to check in with everybody as well. I've wrote down as well 45 minutes of education, anything to do with bodybuilding, learn something new basically and focus on that, which again, if you want to get better at your job, really important. And that's pretty much going to be it for the day. And then just eating really. So yeah, as I said, I'm not really still 100% and my stomach is feeling a little bit sketchy right now. No idea why. Maybe because I'm hungry. I don't know, but I don't normally get hunger pains, so I don't know. You can't beat oats, can you? Really, in a prep, it's just. And every year, I say the same thing to myself. I'm like, oh, when I get to the off season, I'll keep the oats in. Yeah, just such a good food as well. Like very high in fiber, high in a soluble fiber as well, which is really good for your heart. So like I always say, yeah, I'll keep them in, and then my appetite just goes to shit. But in a prep, I could eat a 300 gram bowl of oats and it not be a problem. So with these oats, we got 30 grams of whey from Perform. Maybe it's that Perform, to be honest with you. Maybe that's what's doing it. I have been using Naughty Boy and Trained by JP, and they absolutely fine on my stomach. I feel like Perform, the quality is not as good. I definitely notice it. I could get a bit of a gurgly stomach when I have Perform. Damn, really? Right, 15 grams of almond butter. Yeah, maybe it's the whey, to be honest, or maybe I'm just still not 100%. I don't know. Hopefully it kind of clears throughout the rest of the day. There's honey involved in this meal as well. I think it's just 10 grams. Not quite SAS level of honey. Dude's having like 200 grams of oats and 100 grams of honey. He has 100 grams of honey. That is so crazy. But it's delicious. Honey is really delicious and obviously digests very well. So 10 grams. Then we got some berries, I think. 150 grams of berries. So I'm probably going to add in, so it's basically 15 grams of carbs from fruit. So I'm going to go raisins. We're going to go 15 grams of raisins, and then we'll go 50 grams of berries. Just because I don't. 150 grams, the volume's quite high. I normally only do that when I'm pushing hard for more condition, but when I'm carving up, or at least having a bit of a refeed, I don't really need 150 grams of blueberries, you know. So raisins are in. Perfect. So that you don't lose me. Then the last thing we're going to add is going to be some cinnamon to the bowl, and that'll be the second meal of the day. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Come have a look at this. There we go. So 100 grams of oats, 30 grams of whey, 50 grams of berries, 15 grams of raisins, and 15 grams of almond butter. Perfect. So I'm going to close this video out here, but appreciate you watching it as always. If you did like the video, leave it a like. If you watched all the way to the end, leave a comment saying oats, and I'll see you for the next one.